What's going on, guys? In this episode of A1 Agents, I've got my good friend, Las Vegas local. I'm very blessed that she's out here in Las Vegas. I've got Cassidy Arbeli with me. And for those of you guys that don't know Cassidy started her insurance agency she started in the insurance industry 10 years ago as a State Farm agent from scratch. She then grew her agency to over $5 million in premium before eventually starting another scratch agency, this time going independent, also from scratch. She writes anywhere from $200 to $500K monthly with 2 salespeople and 1 service person. What the heck? She's a wife, mother of 3, the host of Unburden Your Business podcast, the founder of Agency by Design, and is helping empower business owners, especially women entrepreneurs all over the world. Cassidy, thank you so much for sharing your valuable time with us today.
I know, I'm so excited we get to do this in person. I was just telling you, I'm so sick of Zoom.
Yeah.
We actually get to hang out, so.
Yeah, I know. I got lucky because the majority of your interviews are over Zoom and you're here in Vegas. Yeah. And so when I saw that, I was like, okay, I've got to get her in person. So thank you so much. I really do appreciate your time.
I wonder if I look different now that it's kind of like, we were just talking about like our heights and stuff, like now that we can see each other in person, it's just funny.
Yeah.
How we come across on camera in different ways.
So we were talking a bunch before this, but if you could tell my audience about who you are, and let them know who you are.
Yeah, so like he mentioned, he pretty much just gave you kind of the short version of my whole life story and where I'm at right now. But I am currently maintaining success in the independent world, which I love. We left captive agency because we really started getting a passion for commercial insurance. And for those of you that are captive, you know that a lot of it unfortunately can't be written, and it started hurting my heart and my ego a little bit to send all this business out the door. So we went independent. I walked away from $5 million and all that blood, sweat, and tears for those first 5 years. And within the first year, we were able to almost sell what we walked away from and just continue building from there. We specialize in commercial. We brand ourselves that way. And we've even niched down into different sectors within the commercial insurance space. And I recently was like, everything's great. You know, I don't have to do much in this business anymore. Luckily, it's kind of running itself. And I went back to my roots of what I studied, which was organizational psychology. And I grew up with parents who were entrepreneurs and wanted to go back into that business consulting place that I love so much and connecting with other people. And I really think in our industry, there is a gap between all the knowledge and tips and podcasts and videos and conferences and all the things that really teach people, or at least help people learn how to do sales and marketing. And I think that's the one thing that everyone focuses on so much. I'm coming in trying to change the gap or help in conjunction to that with really trying to teach business fundamentals, because I can't tell you how many people I know that have multiple 7-figure books, even higher than that, that are on the verge of shutting down or on bankruptcy or in so much debt they don't know how they're going to get through the next month. And really making that money is actually easier than sustaining it and being able to scale and to manage it. You know, I think I heard something where it just says there's not a lot of people at the top, because by the time you get to the top, it's harder to maintain that than it is to actually get there. Yeah. And so I really want to help bring some more awareness that we've got to take the business class. We've got to learn how to do those business foundational things in the beginning, in the middle. You know, even if you've been doing this for 20 years and you got to go back and kind of refresh and kind of give a facelift to your business if you're ready to do something different. And that's just where I'm at right now.
And we were talking before this. We typically, us, visionary type people, and a lot of business owners or people that own agencies, we say yes to a lot of things in the beginning, and then we just kind of like build our wings on the way down, and we're still kind of doing that,
all the time,
even with new things, so speaking of fundamentals, how are you sticking to your fundamentals as you keep
scaling
and doing different things?
Yeah. I'll tell you kind of how it started. So when we were going to get ready to leave State Farm, I had already made a decision. And it wasn't my first business, State Farm. We did have another business in conjunction, but that was like my baby. I was doing it all by myself. No partners, no husband, no nothing. Like, it was my baby. And I came to my team, I said, we're leaving, we're going independent, this is what we're doing. And they thought I was crazy. And I said, for the next 90 days, we're not doing anything else. We had one employee who was actually going to be moving, so we kept them to do all the service and just maintain our clients, because even though we were walking away, we still wanted to have a good reputation and take care of people. And so that's what they did the whole time. And for 90 days, we sat in my office and we business planned. What we didn't do when we opened State Farm, which State Farm was training us and saying, here's what you should do. And we just made a random business plan just to get through the door. It wasn't anything I used. Like, we stuck it in the drawer and I don't think I've ever looked at it again. And so now moving into this next venture and this next phase, I was like, we have to have a business plan. We took those big Post-its that you can stick on the wall, like the big ones, and we wrote things like, what are we not doing anymore? Who is our ideal client? What is our brand going to be now that we can separate from kind of that big captive agency brand? What type of policies do we want? What do we want to sell? And we went through this entire formula that I now use as a business blueprint for everything I do. And I'm going to tell you what that is in a second. But they literally sat with me and I asked them questions and we brainstormed and we came up with all kinds of ideas and then kept condensing it down to what we use today. And really, I realized one day sitting back there that we had spent that time figuring out what the intention of what we wanted to happen, what we wanted that intention to be. And then once we had the intention, the next piece was, okay, we know where the North Star is. We know what we want to achieve that align with our values too and who we are after we've been doing this for a while. And now we come up with a strategy. And we came up with the strategy, all the steps and processes. Then after that, day one, we opened our independent agency and it was time to execute. And so when you can start with intention, then create strategy off of what that is, and then execute that strategy, that formula is what brings you results. So I was just telling Nick that we just started another business a couple weeks ago, and I'm doing the same thing. We sat down the other night, the three of us, and we brainstormed all the intention, like, what do we want this to look like in the next 10 years? And then we reverse engineered 5 years, 1 year, quarter, month, week, day, like whatever that has to look like. And then we came up with all that strategy, and then you just start executing step by step. So that's really for me, like, what I do. And every month I have this routine where I reset and I look at kind of my planner, calendar, my whole system, and I reset. Like, am I still aligned with my intention? Are these strategies working? Do I need to refine some of these processes? Are we executing at the level that we need to, that we committed to get these results? And what are the results? Are the results showing that all this is working? Great. If not, I start making some tweaks. But that's like my formula for everything. Even life, like,
real quick,
whatever we do.
What does that reflection time look like for you, especially being like a mom of three? Like, do you just lock yourself in a room, or you go to Cabo for a couple weeks? Like, what does that look like for you?
Sometimes it's a little of both. I have a few ways that I do this, and I've learned these just from tapping into myself and seeing what works for me, because I think it's different for everyone. But every month, the Sunday before the last Sunday of the month, I will go to a coffee shop by myself. My husband already knows, like, you have to watch the kids or whatever it looks like. I probably spend about an hour. And in the beginning, it was a lot longer because I was still trying to refine this routine and this process. Just like, as a business owner, when you first implement a process with your team or yourself, like, it takes a few times until it becomes kind of automatic, where you build that muscle. So now I have a list of the things I check and I look at. I look at numbers. I look at what our activity is, and I'm a psycho tracker. I track everything. My team loves it now. When they first were like, really, like, you really need to know this, I'm like, yeah, we have to know it, because now I can go in, I see snapshots of exactly what's happening, and I'm out. I go in, look at what's happening, and I get out. And that's the kind of business owner I want to be. My goal has always been to build businesses and to make myself completely obsolete. Like, I am not part of this equation unless I have to be in the beginning, right?
Working on that. Working on that.
Yeah, it takes time. I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm also a very project-based person, so I love going in, building a project, and like getting out and doing something else, as you probably know from all the things that I dabble into. But
we get bored of like the thing that we already built. We're just like, I'm bored. You know what I mean? Time to create something new.
Yeah.
And then
that same thing with your team. So we could talk about that too. But so I say it takes about an hour. And then I also do weekly. So I'll look at my upcoming week and all the things that are happening, which probably takes me about 30 minutes once a week. And I do that on Sunday. So, but that just helps me stay focused. Otherwise, I won't execute. Just like anybody else, I get distracted. I have other things come up. Sometimes I'll want to do things based on my mood, like whatever that feels like in the moment. But
okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's make this a little bit more relatable to new agents.
Yeah.
I think obviously you have a lot of experience, and you've built your way up to a point to where, making yourself obsolete from your agency is some high level stuff. Like, I've been at this thing for 5 years, and I can honestly say I haven't got to that point yet. We're working on it.
Yeah.
Can you talk about, how you guys are writing so much business with just 2 salespeople and a service person? What are some of the processes? What's the secret sauce, if you may, on the person watching this? Like, okay, how do I just get sales, right?
Yeah,
So
for sure.
talk about that.
So it all started, I went in, I'll tell you a little bit about the history just so you can understand kind of like the way it evolved. But I came in and I was such a high pressure manager. And I was like, sales. We have to sell every product. I was following the carrot put in front of me by my captive agency that we were with. And I wanted to be on the top of all the reports, and I wanted to do all the things. And it was not a good environment. It was tense. It was negative. It was a lot of turnover. It was hard. Luckily, I still kept a couple of people from way back when. I have someone with me since day one. There were tears. Doors slamming. It was very hard. So I had to take some time to go back to intention. And after being at the top of the reports and struggling our way through and making this money and getting to that $5 million, I realized that I wasn't happy. And so those people who are thinking like, I just need to get a sale, I get it, because you've got to make money. Like, that is the lifeline of your business. That is the oxygen that gets this thing to breathe life. But I think that if I could have done a little bit more time to be more intentional of just knowing, like, what is it that I want to do, and figuring out what type of clients, what product line you want to focus on, what do you want your brand to be, who are you, how do you want that to come out in the way you're communicating with leads, the way you're attracting leads, the way you convert leads, the products that you want to be an expert in and have an authority in, and not being afraid to niche down. That was one thing that I was afraid to do. I thought I had to do all the things. And now today, when we niche down and we're very specific, we can then do higher volume and actually be really successful with less. And so that's one of the things that I just want to continue to hone in on. And it's not something everyone always knows how to do. I understand it takes some time to learn how to be intentional, but it really starts working with your mindset and figuring out, take some time to figure out who you are and how you want to be within this, because getting a sale may feel hard now, but once you get a sale and you get another sale and you get another sale, you're going to start losing kind of the control a little bit, if that makes sense. And I know you know what I'm talking about. I'm trying to kind of warn those people of just really trying to make sure that you know what a year from now is going to look like, and just keep focusing on that and start creating a strategy and working backwards. If you say, I want to be a $100,000 earner in the first 12 months, and you need at least $1 million book business or whatever that looks like, depending on your product lines that you're selling, then figure out, okay, if that's the case, how many leads do I need? How many calls do I have to make? And you start reverse engineering that backwards, and then you start at the bottom. So if you know $1 million book is going to take you to sell this much per month, and to sell that much per month is going to take these many calls or these many leads or these many hands I have to shake, and whatever that looks like. The other piece is to track everything. Mm-hmm. If you made 100 calls and then you quoted a certain amount and you closed a certain amount, whatever that premium looks like, look at all those numbers. I still look at those numbers today. If for some reason we don't hit goal, I immediately go and see how much premium do we have on the books that we've quoted. And if it's high, then I know the next month is coming, or there's some other things that maybe we can tweak. But knowing your closing ratios is huge. Mm-hmm. And then you can figure out, am I missing the mark between quoted to converted, or closed? Am I missing the mark between, lead to quote? What does that look like? And then you can work on that. You can pinpoint it and say, okay, this is where I have to develop myself. This is where I need to go find some help, watch some videos, practice, role play. I don't know. Look in the mirror and practice. We've done all the things when we first started out till we got better. But that's what I would say, like, you've really got to be intentional, because you'll just find yourself having squirrel and like shiny object syndrome and be like, well, I'm not making it in property and casualty. Maybe I'll go sell some life insurance. Or you're not making it life insurance. And then you're going to go, like, you will go through so many things if you don't know why you're doing what you're doing and what it is that you really want. And you'll never get success because you're just all over the place. Where when you really know, you just stay there. You put your blinders on. You're like, I don't want to look at anybody else right now. I don't care. If this is not on this highway, I'm not doing it. So I think that's really important.
I really love that. I find myself in this position where I'm growing and scaling, and I want to get to a $20 million agency just because, like, I don't know why I came up with that number. I'm like, let's just get to 20. But then I'm thinking, as I'm in the weeds with this whole process, I think to myself, what happens when I get there? I don't want to be so boggled down with this that I don't focus on the stuff that I actually want to do. So I need to figure out, like, when am I satisfied with my agency?
I don't think you'll ever be satisfied.
I know, right? That's
but
so
content.
true.
I think there's a difference too. Like, it's okay to not be satisfied and always want to have more, but as long as you're content and you feel confident and you're not putting your worth into that 20 million, then that's where you're gonna be okay. And it's okay to keep going. I mean, I don't think I'll ever stop till the day I die, like, God forbid, but it's just something that's kind of in us, kind of ambitious entrepreneurs that, my dad's 64 now, and he literally works all the time. And I'm like, more power to you. Like, if you love it and you can, why not? But he still also learned how to enjoy life in a lot of ways. So
very good.
I feel like I'm going to be that way too. Like, I don't think I'll ever fully retire.
Is that who you got?
But I get it.
Is that who your dad heavily influenced you throughout your life?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially the work ethic, that entrepreneurial spirit, the not being afraid to take risks type of thing. He's definitely a gambler in that sense. And so 100% influenced. And just being able to see that he got to do kind of what he wanted for the most part. Doesn't always work out, but
I'm sure he's very proud of you. Just from my
he just told me the other night. Yeah,
I'm sure. From my observation of just growing up, and one of my fears of when I have kids is that they won't be as ambitious as me. And so I'm pretty sure he's very proud of that you're kind of continuing, picking up the torch, I guess, if you may, right?
Yeah.
So
it's funny. Just touched my mic. Sorry. It's funny, but like, we were driving home from dinner the other night. He drove, and I don't know what happened in this conversation, but he was like, "I have to tell you, I'm really proud of you. I know I don't tell you that." And I said, "You know what's even better, Dad? Is I don't even need you to tell me." I'm at a point in my life where before, like, that's probably the reason I did a lot of things where I just wanted my dad to be proud of me. And how amazing is it in the best way, like the most positive way, that it's like, Dad, like, I'm so happy that you're proud of me, and it's so important to me, but I'm in a place in my life where it doesn't make a difference, that I can be proud of myself. Yeah. And I think that was a moment where I was like, whoa, I've done a lot of work on myself, because 10 years ago, I would have been like, I don't even know who that is. And so I think that's important to understand, that like, your worth isn't put into a number, a person, anything. It all comes from within, and it's kind of a beautiful thing. I was telling my husband the other day, I was like, I can't believe I said that. And my dad didn't take offense to it. He totally understood, but it was just like, it's a good moment when you can just be proud of yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. You don't need it to be told. It's just like, what's understood doesn't need to be said, or what, you know what I mean? Like, whatever that saying is.
Yeah.
All right. So what advice do you have for someone that's, I know I kind of asked this question already, but let's talk about the producer. Because I love, on my channel, I feel like there's a way more audience, way more of my audience is a producer just getting started than there is agency owner. So I want you to offer some advice for the new producer, the newbie, and then the agency owner or somebody that, wants to start their agency.
Yeah. I'm kind of going through revamping this a little bit in our agency because now we're looking to scale and get some producers in and just different things like that because we have a lot of leads and my team is finally to a point where they're like, I'm at 120% capacity and I don't want to get to a point where we can't get to clients and different things like that. And so I recently just went back and said, okay, what in this stage would I want to talk to a producer about? And I also did an amazing podcast with someone who's hiring some of those younger generation new fresh blood that just want to come in and disrupt the industry in ways because it's new and modern. And I was thinking to myself, it's so important for me now to come and really discuss the opportunity of what it is that we do and how we build residual income and talking about the business in a sense of like what the potential is there, because when it's hard and when you have to make all those calls or when you have to set appointments or when you have to go and just network until you build relationships and ask for referrals or whatever it looks like to start building that sales pipeline, you have to understand the bigger picture and talking to them to set them up with what that looks like from the beginning. I think sometimes as leaders, we come in and we're like, we need you to sell, we need you to do all these things, all of that stuff. And like, we know that it's going to be a grind in the beginning until you learn. I mean, everything has a learning curve. Even when we went independent, like we did not know how to use a computer system, even after doing this for 5 years straight and doing well. We had to learn and go backwards. And it was hard. And if you can understand kind of the bigger picture, that's going to help you get through that hustle mode in the beginning, some of that grinding, some of that learning that you have to do, it's going to help you continue to move forward. Now, I would also recommend 2 things. Learn how to become a micro brand underneath the umbrella of either the agency that you're working for or the carrier that you're working for, which means you want to have something about you that's unique and be able to articulate what that brand is and what it is about you that makes people want to work with you, and learn about branding. Branding is so much more important than marketing because marketing to me is the vehicle of how you get your brand out, and brand is really about who you are, why people should want to work with you, what it is that you're promising people, what can you kind of, not necessarily guarantee, but like what problem do they have that you can come in with what you offer to solve. And when you can speak to somebody like that, it's such a different conversation than just saying, I can sell you insurance and save you money and, let's talk coverages. Like nobody wants to talk about that anymore because it's become a commodity. We have to break that cycle and really become a micro brand in ourselves. I was just talking to somebody, I think yesterday, about this 19-year-old girl who went on TikTok, isn't doing the dancing stuff. She's literally doing all educational content, and she gets 10 to 15 life appointments a day. And all she does is go on TikTok and does educational content. And I'm like, this is what I mean about like just coming in and really disrupting the way we've been doing things for so long. Think outside the box. Don't copy what everyone else is doing. Figure out your own brand and your own way to do things and just stay consistent. It's going to take you some time.
Yeah.
Stay consistent. Even when it's hard, just do it again.
I'm convinced TikTok hates me.
Really? Like, I'm not on TikTok, the only platform.
I feel like TikTok hates me. Like every other platform, I get a little bit of traction, but TikTok hates me.
Really?
So my girl thinks I need to start a brand new one because when she started a new one and she made a couple videos, faster? Oh my God, it like blew up.
Interesting.
And like, so anyways.
I'm the only platform I'm not on, Nick. The only one now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I can't get on the TikTok, but it works for a lot of people. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, I really love that. Making sure that your team understands the bigger picture. Like, this isn't just like make those 10 extra phone calls just to make those make that extra commission tier. It's like, no, there's a bigger picture here. But that's assuming they want to kind of stay in the insurance industry and make that their long-term plan.
Right.
For me, I kind of struggle with being open to whatever it is that they want to do. That may or may not be insurance.
100%. So that's another thing. None of the people I've ever hired were like going to be doing this. I mean, even today, if you ask them, like, did you think you would be here still in insurance 10 years down the road? And they were like, no, absolutely not. Like, one person was getting their license to do hair and be a cosmetologist. Another one was thinking about this other business they want to do, and like here they are today still with me. And for you or leaders or anyone that's looking to build a team, or even just the producers, it's so important to understand what's important to them in their life outside of what they do to make money, outside of their career or their income producing, vehicle. And figuring out what that looks like. Do they love to travel? Do they want to buy a home? Do they want to take care of their parents? Do they, I don't know, love to do art, love to be outdoors? Like, there's all kinds of stuff. They want to be able to raise their children and spend more time with people. Time is a huge one. And when you can show them what it is that 10 extra calls is going to do to give them that thing and keep that in front of them and have those conversations. I think we get so afraid to like talk to our team and just like be friends with them, right? It's like, where do we draw the line between the boss and the friend or the employee? You
can't blur the lines too much,
no.
but you don't have to
well,
be.
It's
boss.
funny because like
it's a
dance.
Yeah, it's a dance.
Yeah, it's definitely a dance. My team though, I will say, like, we are family. Like, if they get locked up, I always tell them on interviews, I will tell you, you get locked up, you call me first. You're not calling your parents. That's how this is. That's the type of family we're in. And we talk about everything. We're very, very close. I mean, after 10 years together, it is what it is. It becomes that way. But they know, like, there's no crossing that line. Anytime that line has ever been close to being crossed, I made sure to draw the line again in the most loving way. And there's such a mutual respect there from both sides that I do everything I can to respect them when they need something, when they want something. Even before they have to ask me, I'm there and I give it to them and I support them like a family. But at the same time, that's what makes them so loyal. They can't even imagine going somewhere else. And I know some people may be watching this like, yeah, she might think so. But like, they've told me with tears in their eyes, and there's been times where they could have gone and done something else. People try to recruit my team members all the time. All the time, especially because I'm on social platforms and videos and whatever, and they're like, oh, well, let's check out who her employee is. It's just, there's something about that loyalty there because of the way we've been able to have that dance in a successful way. And it's because I take them out to lunch. I'm like, what do you want to accomplish this year? What's important to you? I got into a conversation with one of my team members. He's the only male. And he told me when he was growing up, like, we got into the story, he was telling me how when he was growing up, all that mattered to him was being able to go to school with like new slick sneakers on. Like, that was the most important thing to him because it made him feel like all the other kids, even though his family really couldn't afford it. And when he hit like a really big goal, I got him a very high amount gift card to one of the sneaker stores here. And I was like, go buy yourself some sneakers and go buy your kids some sneakers and like go have fun. Things I knew he was never going to be, not be able to, but never going to spend that money on himself or his kids. Yeah. Because I had that conversation with him, I was able to show up in like the sweetest way and, really think about like a thoughtful thing I can do that, again, is kind of buying that loyalty a little bit. It sounds like I'm manipulating the situation, but it's not. It's like, I really want to have a relationship with them. And if you can do those type of things, these people are going to, really care about you in the same sense. If they don't, and they're POSs, they're going to end up leaving anyway. They're going to get weeded out.
It's a matter of time.
I promise you. Yeah, absolutely. So don't be afraid to be vulnerable. And I'm very transparent with my team about how the business works. On like how we make money, why it matters for us to grow. And then what I learned actually by doing that, if I can really teach them the reason why we do the things we do and how it compounds and scales to their success and my success in time, they're more willing to be on the phone with someone and really try to keep them from canceling or not renewing because they understand the bigger scheme of things, kind of like we were talking about before. So it's definitely a dance of the both. They've got to get those action items done. You have to hold them accountable. They have to understand what's an income producing activity and the volume that needs to happen. But on the flip side too, having meetings or having conversations about how are we growing, how is this going to impact the overall team, and eventually being able to see how they can grow within this career and get the stuff they want in their life. And when they start doing that, it just all works. It just all comes together.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you care about your people And I think this is probably one of the most in-depth conversations that I've had about that.
Yeah.
And to see somebody do that at such a high level, I've always believed in that. I've never believed in like putting the numbers over the people.
Yeah.
And realizing that this isn't the most important thing going on in people's lives. It's not. Like, you'd be stupid to think that someone should care about your business more than you, or that they don't have other things going on and you can't be sympathetic about that.
Right.
But that being said, you know, if you call in 4 times in your first 90 days,
no, you're
right?
Not. Absolutely.
Like I'm going to tell you with a smile on my face, hey dude, I like you. I want you to be here. I value, you being a part of this team.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
like, no, you gotta go.
I've got a business to run. So if you can't do that, if you can't be here for me, then I can't be here for you.
Yeah,
like, but I'll tell people straight up, like, I want what's better for you so much.
I'm not willing for you to stay here.
No.
Like,
even to a detriment. Like, meaning, like, if you want to go be a tennis player and I hire you and like 4 months go by and you're like, Nick, I got this tennis deal. I'm like, go. Get out of here, right? You know what I mean? Like, I can find you a replacement. This is go take that opportunity on, you know?
No, I hear you.
And I think it's crazy that this sounds normal. Like, I feel like I'm having a normal conversation with you, but this actually isn't normal. Like, when it comes down to the nitty gritty, people put their numbers and their business first, you know? So I absolutely love that. You guys are some major gems that you guys need to implement regarding what she just said, so...
Especially, like, I like how you said putting the numbers of the people. The thing is if you put the people above the numbers, the people will bring you the numbers. It's backwards.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, it's hard because at first we have to, like, separate our ego a little bit and be okay with maybe not being at the top or, like, getting all these numbers right away. But when you can take some time to invest a little bit deeper into your team or into what you're doing for yourself, whether you're a producer or not, and then you got to almost pull the arrow back sometimes so that you can shoot forward. And people are so scared to do that, and then they never do the work that's needed to really be successful. And that's where I really try to, and it was hard for me too, let me tell you. I got like forced into it. But then when I saw what it can do, everything else got easier for me. Every venture that I went into, every other thing that I dabbled in has been a success because I now go in with that formula that I was talking about. No matter what you do, whether you're walk into that door into your office, what's my intention today? What's my strategy today? Now what do I have to execute? That's it. Just use that. I'm telling you. He'll put in the notes what the formula is. Because if you just think about that and keep it simple, like those are the 3 things you have to constantly do every day, every week, every month, and in a bigger scale kind of model. Whether it's your producer, whether it's the cleaning lady, whether it's, the service person, all of that stuff. It works every single time.
All right, let's move on. Can you talk about, I know you've probably made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
What were some of your biggest lessons and aha moments, if you may? Like, was there ever something that you're like, okay, like that's something huge. Like I need to move forward and never do that again, or it's something that just clicked, or like, can you think of anything like biggest lessons or along your journey?
I actually did a podcast about this and it was kind of a long list. I will say some of the biggest ones, though, that just come to mind was trying to copy other people in the industry, trying to do what other people were doing, and not, again, like figuring out what mattered to me, trying to go based off my ego and not my intuition. And what I mean by that is working hard to be at the top of the list, to get the awards, to get the recognition. And when I got that, I was like, I'm not happy. Or they told me when I was going to do all these things and get all these awards or get to these places, I'm going to make all this money. Well, that didn't happen. It was the complete opposite. I made the company a lot of money. I didn't make me a lot of money. And so then I was like, wait a second. Why am I picking the company and not myself? Like, what's happening here? So just trying to not try to get to things based off my ego than necessarily really tapping into my intuition. And then lastly was doing things out of desperation. Just hiring people out of desperation, making quick decisions because I felt desperate, and those quick fixes, none of them worked, ever. They never worked. So I would say those are the 3 big things that I would say are the biggest mistakes that I made, and I had to learn just going through that. But yeah, there's definitely more than that, for sure.
Those are really good ones, though.
Yeah.
Really good ones. Okay, and then we're approaching the end here, but I would love for you to tell my audience about what you're working on these days, and maybe some of these things that you're working on. I know some of these things that you're working on can help them and can benefit them. So you want to tell the audience what you're working on?
Yeah. So right now, I have a program called Agency by Design, and it's about really bringing in the business fundamentals while attaching it to what we do in our industry in insurance and building an agency, because it's important for us to really design what we want our business to do for us and not just become a slave or handcuffed or a bird, make this business a burden. And we want to build it by design and not just have it be something by default. And I'm really, really excited because in August, we have an amazing conference that we were doing specifically for women in the industry. We kind of got sick of not being invited to the table and decided to build our own, which Nick is amazing because he's invited me to the table. I love it. We should call it the black table. They have like the different color tables, which I love. And I'm just really excited about that. I think it's an amazing opportunity to bring a safe space for women in our industry to just empower each other, learn business, and just have a good time. So that's what I'm working on right now.
Well, I'm super excited for that. I will be there.
Yes, you better come.
I will be there.
It's not just for women, I know. That's one thing.
No, but I'm super excited for that. I love what you're doing for the industry. I think you bring such a different element, such a different, just not like just a different thought process, perspective. Yeah, a different perspective to the industry, and I think it's needed.
Yep.
What you're bringing is needed. So,
thank you.
My last question is the same question I ask everybody. So the title of this series is called, or the title of my YouTube interview series is called A1 Agents. Mm-hmm. And when I looked up the definition of A1, it says to the highest of standards, the highest of principles. And so I like to ask everybody, what are 3 standards that you either live your life by or run your business by? Before I used to go just like, what are 3 standards you live your life by? But then I'm like, nah, let's add business to whatever one you want to share.
Yeah.
I think life might be more important.
So all 3 are that just come into my mind right now. 1 is be better today than yesterday. Constantly grow. Huge core value of mine. I'm always studying. I don't think I know it all. I don't think I'm at the best place I'm at right now. Like, just always be better today than yesterday. And that also helps me look in the mirror and compare myself to myself instead of trying to go outside and compare myself to others. I want to know where I can do better today with myself than I was doing yesterday. The next one is do more with less. So I think we talked about this before, but really trying to figure out how to keep things lean, keep things simple, and figure out how you can expand and get more with less money, less people, less effort, less energy, whatever you can do to do more with less. And the last one is using that formula I was talking about before. Everything is done: intention, strategy, execution. I literally say that to myself like 20 times a day. Even before I came in here, I was like, what's my intention? Okay, what's the strategy? And how do I execute this today?
So I'm in my backyard. I go to my hammock where I typically meditate, pray, just breathe. And this is the first time I actually did it there.
Yeah.
Because I don't do it enough. And I'm in my backyard, and the two things, and it's so crazy, 2 things that like God signals to me is clarity and execution.
Yeah.
I shit you not. Like, those are the 2 words that were sent to me on what I need to work on.
Yep.
Clarity and execution. And so, as I'm looking at this, I'm like, all right, intention and strategy and execution. So that's awesome. That's really, really cool.
Honestly, if you know that if you can get clear, that's one of the things too as business owners. We have so much going on. We're wearing so many hats. It's hard for us when you're in like the thick of it to like see anything in a way. And that's one of the things where it's like, okay, it's either time to get help, even a friend or a sounding board or someone just to like throw ideas out there. Or another thing that you'd ask me like on Sunday when I do the planning routine. I also do something called a mommy staycation. Now, if you're not a mom or a dad, you don't have to call it that. But I book a hotel for a couple days, and I put the do not disturb sign on the door. I order room service. I binge watch TV, but I also bring notepads and Post-its, and my mind will start going because nothing's interrupting me, nothing's in my way, and I'm outside of my element, and it kind of gets me out of the thick of it. I actually told a client of mine this weekend, or on Thursday, we had a call. I'm like, you need to go get a hotel room. She's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, just go get a hotel room. Trust me, it'll come to you, I promise. Run some water. Running water also does that to you, too. There's these things called shower notes. Have you heard of those? No, they're waterproof notes. So if you ever notice, like, you're in the shower and you get the best ideas, you can buy this on Amazon. I'm not affiliated or anything, but you can actually write notes in the shower because I get the best ideas when water's running. There's something that happens in your mind that lets you think when water's running. I don't know. But yeah, clarity is so, so important. And then once you know what it is, you can make the plan and you just go do it. Like, it's so simple. We make it complicated. We do.
Yeah, I love that. The first hotel I could think of is Cosmo, overlooking the Bellagio fountain. So I'm totally going to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to acknowledge you. We're approaching the end here. I just want to acknowledge you for everything that you're doing. And I know that what you're doing is not only valuable and needed and very selfless and helpful to agents all over the world. I'm in the process of trying to package and identify everything that I've done in my journey to just document it so I can keep sharing it and helping people. And it's not an easy task. No. It's actually very difficult.
It's exhausting.
To reflect and be like, what did I do? So for you to have all this self-awareness of documenting and then creating strategies and then realizing where you're at, you just have a lot of self-awareness. So I just want to acknowledge you for everything that you're doing because I know it's not easy and you don't have to do it. No. So thank you. And so for my audience, how can they find you? Where do you want them to find you at?
Yeah. I'm most active on Instagram. It's just my favorite platform to be on, at Unburden Your Business, and everything about podcast and tips and tools, tricks, lots of free value and content on there. And then if you're a female agency owner, we have a Facebook group called Female Insurance Agency Owners. But everywhere else, you can pretty much find me by my name. Just Google, and I'll come up, I promise, somewhere.
She's not on TikTok yet, and
No.
she's about to definitely make huge strides with her YouTube.
Yeah,
so,
I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
We'll see. I'm still learning. Nick's going to help me though, right?
I got you. Well, guys, I'll put all of her info in the show notes. And Cassidy, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This is awesome.